Okay, so the motion's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Clyde. So the motion's been moved and properly seconded. So we're going to do a roll call to make certain that all of the officers and committee chairs, whether you be standing or ad hoc, are here. All committee chairs get a vote in executive committee. So starting with the first vice chair, Madam First Vice Chair.
Present.
Mr. Second Vice Chair.
Present.
All right, the corresponding secretary is excused. The recording secretary, Ms. Posadi.
Present.
Okay. And of course, our treasurer, Ms. Dickerson. Okay, so Tolene is running late. All right, so now we're going to go down our committees. So Ms. Claude, chairwoman of our Library and Cultural Affairs Committee.
Present.
Okay. John, you also serve as chair of our Transportation and Capital Projects Committee. At present, we are vacant because our committee chairperson for Health and Human Services left the board. Housing Committee, Mr. Robert Hall. Okay. Land Use, Mr. Carl Stricker. Okay, he's not here yet. Public Safety, Mr. Alfredo Figueroa.
Present.
Okay. Carla, you also serve as chairwoman of Environmental Concerns. And our treasurer also serves as Youth and Services chairperson. And Mrs. Denise Bond, Parks and Recreation. Okay, she's not here yet. The Economic Development chair is excused. For our Discipline Committee, Attorney Harry Singh.
I'm here.
Okay. And for our ad hoc committees, we have bylaws and Mr. Stricker's chairperson of that, and Ms. Beatrice Cornell.
Present.
All right, thank you. So we do have a quorum and the motion has been accepted. So thank you, committee chairperson. So let's go ahead and get this moving. So committee actions requiring board approval. So I have three definite, and more likely than not, the fourth will come this week. So we have to take a vote on 1959 Strang Avenue. And of course, there's going to be a public hearing on that on the 26th. So we need everybody there, in particular, definitely the executive committee, but also board members as well need to be present so that we can have a quorum to hear the concerns. So that will come before the general board at the next meeting. Parks and Recreation, even though Mrs. Bond isn't here, I know that we have to do a letter of support for Haffen Park. So I know that's coming before the general board as well. With Transportation and Capital Projects, we're going to be doing the letter of support for the Transportation Improvement Corridor, Transportation Safety Improvement Corridor from 226th Street, 226th Street all the way up to
244.
the Westchester line, right, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and economic development, I know that there's a vote that's going to be coming for a new SLA license, and so I'm sure Ms. Benitez will be bringing that before the board as well. Is there anything that I'm missing, committee chairs, as far as items that we need to vote on at the next general board meeting? No? Okay. So I see Tolene is here as our treasurer and as our youth and education chair. Tolene, I'm mentioning items, so we're going through part one of the agenda. So we're just moving right along. Okay. Okay. So Ted asked a question, is this meeting is open to the public? Yes, all meetings, all hearings are open to the public. And I see where, our district manager responded to that. But any meeting that we have, especially public hearings, are open to the public. And in fact, as I'm looking at our bylaws and I'm looking at what we got dinged with, excuse me, from Comptroller Scott Stringer, the previous controller. Technically, we're supposed to have not only the general board meeting, but we're supposed to have a public hearing every month. Now, why that is, I don't know, but I mean, I'm looking at what we have here, but hopefully we only have, we do have, we do have all of our meetings are again open to the public. So again, that's why, that's why we have our meetings. But as I said, when it comes to public hearings, those are mainly ULURP when it comes to ULURP applications. So I don't, maybe that's something that I think we need to tweak in the bylaws. But I do know that that's what we did get dinged on. But nonetheless, we are having a public hearing as it pertains to Strang Avenue. Okay. All right. So let me move towards the second part of the agenda, which is the committee structure and the guidelines. And so, committee chairs, remember, you're responsible for making certain that your committee members are present. So in other words, again, I know that certain people now I'm gonna tell you how I feel. Each one of you are not somebody's personal valet, right? I know that there are certain people that like to get calls and say, oh, well, no one called me or anything like that. That's not your responsibility, right? So we have a meeting calendar, right? Everybody, before the rationale was, well, everybody meets at a different time. So one of the first things I did as chair was to make certain that we clean that up, right? So everybody has a certain date that they're going to meet, right? Whether they call a meeting or not, what committee you're on, you should be there, right? So that's just point blank, plain and simple. So I don't expect you, I mean, some of you are nice and you go through and, you call your committee people. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I encourage you to continue doing that. If you don't, we're all, men and women here, so we should be able to do that. But just remember that members can be removed for not attending committee meetings as well as general board meetings. So I just want to point that to you because I know some committees are obviously larger than others based on their use. And I know that right now, being that we had a lot of, well, not say a lot, but we had board members that did resign during the year. So we're going to have to, reconstitute that once the appointments and reappointments come from the new members. So I will be, doing that. And so, I'll be consulting with each of you over the next month to talk about committee strength. So I know, for instance, there are certain committees that want and need more members. And one of the things that I absolutely tried to do was not make certain that we overtax board members, and so to that end, and we need to go, because again, since people resigned, I need to make certain that all the committees are running optimally. So I will do that. But all I ask you to do, committee chairs, is to please make certain that you take effective notes as far as who's attending, committee members that are attending your meetings. One thing that I want to add that's not on the agenda, but I just happen to be perusing the bylaws just to get some clarity, and I'm going to send you to Article 6, Section 2, which is on page 9. And what it says is, I'm reading in the middle of the paragraph. It says, each standing committee shall be required to recommend to the chairperson of the community board individuals from the community at large who are not already members of the community board to serve as members of that standing committee. So that's not something that, we have done officially, but I think that's something that, I think that we need to do. I think that, for instance, I give you excellent examples. I look at Professor Banks. Professor Banks gave an excellent presentation at Tolene's last meeting with the Education Committee. Not only that, Professor Banks, if you remember when the pandemic first started, Professor Banks was one of the first people that came in and gave us a presentation in April of 2020 about COVID. So, as an example, I think she would be excellent on the health committee, and so, that's something that I will ask her, when I talk to her again. Somebody like Renee Patterson, for instance, who is an advocate for parks. She's always at the Parks Committee meetings. She's advocating for, her park, Seton Falls Park. But, people like her, or Judy Hudson, who of course was with Shoelace Park. So I think that that's something that committee chairs that we need to do. So if you notice people at your committee meetings, I forgot there was another meeting. I want to say Miss Sadie chaired this meeting, Mrs. Clyde, but there was some guy that when Ted was speaking, I think his name was Reynard, asked a lot of questions, and I know he applied for the community board. But what I always tell people is that this is your community board, so you don't have to be an appointed member to be on a committee. And so I think, being that I'm seeing this in the bylaws, I think we need to act on that. So we're probably going to have another EC meeting before the end of the year. And so what I'm going to ask each of you committee chairs to do is to bring me at least 2 people who you would like to see. And Alfredo, for instance, in your committee, there's a whole bunch, Chucky and Yadira. What's her last name? Monson, is that how you say it? Okay, and so people like that, on your committee. So I'm gonna ask each of you to bring me at least 2. If you bring me more, that's better, with the exception, of course, of land use. So I do want to add that. So are there any questions, committee chairs, as far as that piece is concerned?
No.
Okay, good. Hearing none.
Good evening. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hello, family. I hope everybody had an awesome Resurrection Sunday and everybody's healthy. My question, I put it in the chat. Oh, no, I didn't. Duh. I didn't hit send. That would have helped.
Yeah, that would help, Solane.
I'm blind. Okay, so yeah, my question was if they have missed 3 meetings as well. I'm sure it is that, but I'm talking about committee members.
Yeah, they have to be brought up. That's in the bylaws. If they've missed, 3 meetings, it's up to you to enforce it.
3 in a row, 3, because I have a couple 3 in a rows. I'm just wondering.
It's your call.
Okay.
I'm not, technically they're supposed to be brought up, but that's going to be you, because that's not fair to the people who are not showing up.
Sure.
To the people who are showing up.
Showing up, yes.
Right. That's more work for those individuals. So, that's they're supposed to be referred. What I normally do is, if somebody's missed 2 meetings, what I normally do is I write them a letter. I try to call. First of all, I call, because I'm that person that likes to reach out personally. So I'll call them like, hey, what's going on? You've missed such and such and such. Can you tell me what's going on? And, have a conversation with that person. And then in light of that, I also write them a note to let them know, whether it be email or a formal note, just to say, normally I'll probably send an email saying, hey, this is a follow up to our conversation. You need to be at the next meeting, so that when they say, well, I didn't know, then I'm like, well, you can't use that excuse. So, Tolene, if that's what I would do. But you don't want to give people a reason to fight you, because they're going to say, well, I didn't know, no one let me know, so forth and so on. So that's how I would, if they've missed that, then, since we're here having this discussion now, I would, when next time you have a meeting, I would make a phone call.
Without a doubt. Thank you so
Okay.
very much for the clarity.
Not a problem. That's how I would handle it. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
yes, the ad hoc committees do not have community members on it, like the
No, I know that.
bylaws.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
but you didn't mention that. I just want to make it clear.
Well, see, Mr.
That
Strickland,
nobody-
that's because I knew you had my back. So, so that's why. So I appreciate you, though.
Okay, thank you.
You got it, sir. So, so that's that. Something else that's in the same section, Article 6, Section 2, of course, is a first vice chairperson for your committees. Now, I know that some of your committees have that first vice chairperson and some don't. So case in point, Mr. Lanzano is, of course, no longer on the board. He resigned. And there is not a first vice chairperson of that committee who, of course, can now step in if there's a health-related issue. So,
Some right now.
Okay.
So, huh?
I'm sorry. So in any event, so that's something that we have to, deal with. So what I'm asking committee chairs to do, looking at the bylaws, and again, I'm on page 9. This is section 6, article 2. Article 6, section 2. I'm sorry. It says that, the first vice chairperson of your committee is supposed to be, ideally elected. What I'm going to ask committee chairs to do is identify. So for instance, and here's how it did work. So Ms. Claude was gone. So Ms. Claude, as you know, did not chair the meeting this month for her committee, but it went on seamlessly because, of course, Ms. Sadie serves as her vice chairperson for that committee. So Ms. Sadie led the meeting. Our own Ted James was the guest speaker at their committee meeting, and it went off without a hitch. You know what I mean? So, case in point, normally, like I said, I know Mr. Singh, Attorney Singh, normally handles those duties for the land use committee, but since he wasn't there, Mr. Strucker asked me to step in, so things like that. So right now, what I'm asking committee chairs is to, if you haven't held those elections yet, at least identify somebody who you feel comfortable with. So case in point, I'm seeing Clinton is on here. I know Clinton has taken over in the case whenever John Isaac has not been there for transportation. So, but that's not, if that's official, then I need to know about it so that I can put it, so I can
It's
list
official.
it in the standing committees. So is that official?
It's official.
It's official. Okay, so I need to write that down. All right, so
I'm
that's
taking over.
where we are with that. But for committee chairs that do not have, with the exception of ad hocs, if you were standing committee chair, and actually, well, ad hocs probably do too, but you need to have a vice chair. So in case you're not there, we can move seamlessly. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do that. So are there any questions, committee chairs, as far as that is concerned?
Excuse me, quick, I'm sorry, I got a little 19-month-old under here running under my legs. What did you just say, John? What was that? I missed it.
No, I said it's official.
What's official, my love?
That Clinton Mike is gonna be the vice chair.
Of transportation?
Yes.
All right, I'm loving it. Thank you.
You got that?
Yes, Marty, I got it.
All right.
Oh
Don't let me
God,
come to
y'all
your
are
house.
funny.
Don't let me come to your house.
All right, guys, I'm trying to get y'all out. So let me move on. Okay, recommendations as far as it comes to recommendations. All right, so committee chairs and vice chairs. Let me say this with love, right? So the one thing, we're all human and we do make mistakes. God knows I make my share. And like I said, I'm glad that you guys have my back, right? It's because of you that I'm able to lead this board. And I really appreciate that. However, what I ask is that when we bring recommendations to the board, that we're firm in our recommendation. Here's why I say that. Because 10 times out of 10, the board is going to go with your recommendation, right? Although I encourage us to be read, I try to read as much as I can, but look, we all work, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work a regular 9 to 5, we all work, we all have other responsibilities. And so, some people may not, getting the information from a committee meeting, there are multiple ways to do it, but not everybody will do it. So case in point, although our meetings are recorded, not everybody will go back and look at those recordings, and I hate to say it, but it's true. So that's why, we're supposed to have minutes for our meetings because our minutes are supposed to be concise readout as to, what occurred during the meetings, right? That may be, for me, I'm a science nerd. I'm one that likes data. So I will go back and watch the entire meeting. Some people may just want the readout. And so they may just do that. All I'm saying is that let's make certain that, we're up on an issue as much as we can be, and realizing that we're not all subject experts on a particular issue. So for instance, I'm going to ask somebody like Alfredo, when it comes to, I think the last economic development meeting, they were having conversations about buildings uses. What was it? Code of building, something like that. He and Luke were having this discussion, and I'm like, okay, just trying to learn as much as I could, just listening to them, because I realized that I'm not a subject expert on buildings. I mean, I can read, but I'm going to defer to them. So let's make certain that when we make a recommendation, committee chairs, that we know as much as we possibly can. And I'm not going to hold anything back from you. If I know it, I'll say I know it. If I don't, then I'm going to refer you to somebody else. Case in point, when Tolene and I were talking about a question that she had, I didn't know the answer, but I referred her to somebody who did. So, and she was able to get her answer. And that way, because I think that makes us all smarter. So I'm going to ask that we make certain that, because as I said, our board, may or may not read the issue at hand. And so I'm just asking that we're, as thorough as we can be when it comes to our recommendations. Tolene, you got your hand up.
I love it because I forgot. Okay, but let me think of one. Can I just say one thing as the treasurer? I
Sure.
tried to make sure that at least the chairs and the vice chairs had all paid their sunshine fund money. We all know some of you went above and beyond. Those that didn't, if you would please, I also said that you could Zelle me if you can't get out, and I would in turn get it to the bank. So please, 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 if you have not sent me your $35, please send it to me. And I'll try to remember what the other question was in a minute. Thank you.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, and since we're doing shout out, I'm going to shout out Alfredo again, because not only did he meet the challenge, he exceeded it. And so, Alfredo, I appreciate you, and I'm going to, tell you that, as well as Keisha Lago Martin. She did as well. Not only did she meet the challenge, she exceeded it. So now I got to step my game up. So, but the bottom
Miss
line is that,
Tirado did as well. Miss Tirado as well.
oh, did she? Okay, I see. I didn't know that. Okay, so she exceeded the challenge. Okay, wow. Okay, so Deborah Tirado as well. So thank you for letting me know that, Madam Treasurer. So Deborah Tirado did as well. So again, I got to step my game up now that the challenge has been met and exceeded, and that's a good thing. I'm really glad to hear that. So thank you, Madam Treasurer. John, you had your hand up.
It was by accident, but I also have a comment.
Okay.
She loved the idea that we have certain professionals at what they do on their daily livelihood on the
Mhm.
board, like Alfredo. He does all the stuff with the buildings and stuff like that. And I think, like, when we have issues before the board, when it comes to those issues, we should actually lean on those people as references, and use them in that capacity.
I agree with you. You won't hear me. Same thing with transportation. When it comes to transportation, I mean, our resident expert, Mr. Stricker, and I
I
think,
depend on him so much. It's
yeah, I
unbelievable.
mean, if it comes
Actually, we
to,
needed him the last meeting. We actually needed him at the end when they started talking about all
oh
the buses and
yeah,
the routes.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
damn, he's not here.
Well, I mean, he's here, but he wasn't at that meeting. Yeah. Or for instance, I mean, look, each one of you have a skill set that I don't have. And so, like I said, if it comes to, I mean, yes, I have the ability to solve problems, but for instance, like I said, when it comes to education, I mean, yeah, I taught at the college level, but, you know, again, I don't have a degree in education. You know what I mean? So, and likewise, whether it be HR, whether it be nursing, or whether it be construction, I mean, I can use my hands, But am I an expert at construction? No. But I'm seeing Anthony Reed, who is. So again, one thing I recognize, I'll make this quick. I'll share a lesson with you. The one thing that when I graduated with my PhD, when my advisors signed the paperwork, one of them pulled me aside and said, it's okay to say that you don't know. I know you're going out here with this degree, but it's okay to say that you don't know anything. I'm not know anything, but you're not a subject expert on that topic. And I've taken that with me as long as I live, because that's true. And I'll admit when I don't know anything or that particular topic, but I try to learn as much as I can and ask questions. So I agree with you, John, on that. As far as leaning in. So yeah. And hopefully we do more of that. And that's one thing that I'm going to encourage is I step into this role as chairman to be a better chairperson to do that. I know, for instance, Algeria had a retreat that we did a retreat, before a lot of this nonsense started about a year ago. And maybe that's something that we can bring back. And I'm going to talk about that at the end over the summer, how we bond. Because I think we need to, do that again and get this, we're talking about light, bring everything to light and just feel good about our board again. So, yes, so John, you got another question?
I just want to come to the point where we have enough power that when we speak to our politicians, that they listen to us in our district. And I've been going to people that's outside of the board and my job and all that stuff, and I've been like speaking to them about how come other communities could get stuff done and we can't get it done, and they're saying the vote has power. So probably because they don't depend on our votes. So we need to make changes and be effective in what we're doing to make a change in our neighborhood. I'm very alarmed by the homeless commissioner telling us, oh, I don't have to ask you guys anything. That stuck very, very harsh in my mind. And for her to say that she could do anything she wants and she's just doing us courtesy by letting us know, that's like a slap in the face. When you pick up the papers and you see other communities are making changes and telling them no, that's we gotta do something. Not supposed to be putting a prison in our neighborhood. They could probably come and put a prison right here on Burke Avenue, and we can't do anything about it.
Well, that's why I disagree with you. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but do you guys remember? I'm about to date myself, but do y'all remember this cartoon called Captain Planet? Come on, Clinton, Clinton up here laughing. You see he's laughing, right? So he's lying. And so anyway, Captain Planet and the Planeteers was the name. It was the name of the cartoon. It was done by TBS. But in any event, Captain Planet would always say that the power is yours. Do you remember? You remember that, John? He would always say the power is yours. Miss Claude, you shaking your head, so I know you remember this. He would always say the power is yours. And so the power is ours. And I think that you're right. One of the things that watch what I say here. So let me say it like this. The power is ours. Whether or not we execute that power or wield it is up to us. Now, I will say that there are things that have happened that have made us not as effective as we could be, but that's coming to an end. So, to that end, as long as we look, are we going to agree on everything, committee chairs? No. We're not going to agree on everything, but does that mean, like, for instance, case in point, at your meeting, John, we didn't agree on, not you and I, but, with Ted. But I still love Ted. And Chucky. I just disagree with their position, but it doesn't mean that I hate those guys. You know what I mean? Because I don't. We just disagree on that. You guys as a board disagree with me on things that I'm like, why did y'all do that? But nonetheless, it doesn't mean that I don't love you nonetheless. So I still like to say that we can disagree on certain issues, but the main thing is as long as we come together, John, I think that I have some strategies in which we can do that. And I'm probably going to present it at another executive committee meeting. But as I said, when I first got elected chair, with one finger, you can't do anything. But when you combine that with 4 other fingers and form a fist, that's when you knock somebody out. So that's what others have done effectively. And quite frankly, we've been trying, instead of forming that fist, we've been trying to break each other's fingers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why you get what you get. And so, but that's going to change because, as I said, I've got some
Because
ideas as to what we can do.
in our neighborhood, we have a unique character up here. Like, I've had people drop my wife off up here, and they've said, "Oh, is this the Bronx? This don't even feel like the Bronx." And because we have so much open space and on all that stuff, I'm actually going out to places like Corona and all these different places in Queens and all that stuff. And you should see how horrible these places are because they overdevelop the place, and there's no, I mean, every inch of their property, these people put concrete and all that stuff. So, and then they want to know why they have flooding issues, why they have this, why they have that. And somehow we got to find a way to slow down this. They want to do the same thing up here, and we got to slow it down. We got to, I mean, I was looking at a typical example, that property across the street from Home Depot. Everyone wants to develop that property, but you know something? That property might be saving in I-95 from flooding. No one never thinks about that. That area is like marshland, and if you look at a landscape that's growing in there, it's kind of like a prairie stuff, like wetland area, and that might be better just to be left alone. Believe it or not.
Well, John, actually, I'm going to talk about that. I see Tolene's got her hand up, but I just mentioned right quickly that's going to be an electric bus depot. So that is, I would rather that than housing. You know what I mean? So, and it's not that I'm anti-housing, because I'm not anti-housing. It's A, the type of housing, but more importantly, B, it's, as you said, where it's located. I think one thing at Denise Bond's meeting was she said we need more green spaces, and she held someone's feet to the fire about that, and so I just happen to agree with her on that. So we can talk about that later. I see Tolene and Carla. So Tolene, you first, then Carla.
Okay, what I was going to ask you before, but I forgot, was about the minutes. You said something about the minutes. I've been trying to get a copy of my meeting, and every time I click on, it tells me that they were unable to load it. So I don't know what else to do.
I don't know what's going on with that because you should be able to. Are you using your computer or are you using your phone?
My computer.
Okay.
Is George on here? Is
George
spoke
to me about it. That for some reason our file is extraordinarily large, and I have no idea why it's saved like that.
Oh, yeah, right, John. That was me and you. Okay.
Yeah, it's large.
Which meeting is this you guys are talking about?
The last education meeting
At education.
when Dr. Banks spoke.
Okay, I had to click on it. I thought I was able to see her. I thought I was able to look at that presentation.
If you can send me the link or something, I would love it.
Well, I'll try. Okay.
I appreciate that.
You got it. Yes, Carla.
So I just wanted to respond to John Isaac's comment about uniting the community to fight these homeless shelters and other developments we don't want here. In my experience in Woodlawn has been that when all of Woodlawn is united against some change the community doesn't want, they hire a bus and they load up the bus and they take the bus to the place where they're going to be heard. So in my experience, we haven't done that too much within the community. I know that Wakefield taxpayers organized a protest against the homeless shelter, one of the homeless shelters on Bronx Boulevard, and a bunch of people showed up, but Woodlawn hires a bus, and they go and they collect people, and they bring them to the rally point. So that's just something maybe a little more organized we should think about in the future. I don't know. Carl, do you have any more, Carl Stricker, do you have any more experience with this than I do in terms of what you've seen in how Woodlawn gets things done?
Well, not only that, the community board used to charter buses. If a whole bunch of people were going down, and at that time, New York Bus Service was a private company, used to donate the bus to the board to take them to wherever they had to go. Yeah, the protest buses have sort of slacked off over the last 10, 12 years. So we used to have lots of protest buses. And wherever it was a zoning change, we would be down at city planning. If it was standards and poor's, yeah, not a stock green. They're going to change. They want to put up the building, and it looked like it was going to be approved. We would go down and fight it. The last time we had any kind of demonstration here is when they were going to put the homeless shelter in the old Army Reserve building, and we got the Doe Fund. We got the Doe Fund to change it to actually apartments where people live until they can go to another location. It's transitional housing, which is fine because these people have jobs. It's not like you don't have a job, but that's the last type of protest I have seen in this community. And the only people that showed up were people from Williamsbridge and Woodlawn. Although the other sections of the community, I mean, Wakefield also was there, is that, what happens up here can happen to you, and you would want the support of the people up here. Every community, whether you live in a valley or you live down by Burke Avenue, you have to support your fellow community members when they have an issue at their front door, because the next time it may show up, it may be at your front door.
Exactly. That's the first thing I learned when I joined the board. So I guess my point is, and to John's point, tactics. Sometimes there have to be tactical solutions, so for example, as opposed to just saying to people, show up, we need to find a way to help them show up. So, okay, that's it.
Well,
Thanks,
I mean,
I'm done.
I'm for that, so John, Carl, and Mr. Stricker, I mean, I'm all for that. I think, it's being strategic, it's just like when I'm thinking about proton therapy as it targets cancer cells, it goes in a straight beam and it hits the cancer without destroying the healthier cells. So I think I'm all for learning about old school tactics and updating it to what we've done. I think our last, I won't say a protest, but our last success when we had a number of board members go before the BSA last year, and we were able to, with the help of our district manager, we were able to help. I mean, we were able to get them to build that retaining wall. So I think, I'm all for learning what you guys have done in the past and seeing what we can do to get out. And as far as outreach is concerned, I'm going to be talking about that next. So that actually kind of sort of leads me into outreach. And so maybe we can, because people need to know what we're doing as well. But I'm going to talk about on this last part of section 2 is proposal for virtual meetings. And so let's touch on that, what you talked about, John, Carl, and Mr. Strickland, when we go to outreach and up on section 4 when it comes to our outreach efforts, because there are some things I want to discuss there. So last on 2, so I'm on 2D when I'm talking about proposal for virtual meetings for future use. So as soon as I got the notice from Tom LaCaney, I sent it out to each and every one of you board members and committee chairs. So what, as I interpret it, so let me share my screen. Let me first of all find it, then share my screen. So I'm gonna tell you how I interpret what was sent. So just bear with me for a second. Let me see, let me look at this and share. And I'm going to, there we go. And so I'm going to tell you how I interpret this. So when this was sent to us, so as you know, the governor has signed an order pretty much stating that we can continue to meet remotely until July 1st, 2024. All right. So in other words, we have another 2 years to meet remotely. So based on this, I would imagine, and if I'm looking at the second paragraph, that the way I interpret it was that we will that will be well, not amended, but it will go into effect either 60 days after this effective date, which is the 9th of April, or June 8th of this year. Something I want to talk to you about, because I know that, again, this was an idea that was initially proposed by Alfredo, was that, you know, that our committee meetings remain virtual. And so, again, I think there's still some clearance in that letter that people are still looking for, how to go about doing this. And I guess I'll find out more at the borough board meeting next week, because I'm sure the borough president is going to have some guidance for us committee chairs. I mean, not committee chairs, us the board chairs. And so I'm sure we're going to talk about that then. But what I would want to suggest, but again, it's up to you chairs, is that the committee meetings remain virtual, because I mean, even right now at this executive committee meeting, we got 20 people here, and most of those, I mean, and all of those are not even our committee chairs. So we keep the committee meetings virtual and only meet in person if allowed for the general board meetings. That's what I would propose as the leader of the board. But A, I need to first of all see if it's legal. B, see what you guys think about it. So I kind of want to open that up for discussion. And again, Alfredo had mentioned this, initially. So what do you guys think about that? If we can do it, and that's a big if.
I think we should continue doing this virtual meetings, because I get to attend a lot of meetings that I never attend, like the Miss Campbell's meeting, and the parks. I'm interested in the parks, and I can't be at the board building every night, but I could be on every night.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, personally, if it were up to me, I would have, again, committee meetings virtual, general board meeting, we all get together. So that's what I would like to see. But, I mean, John, you've given your opinion. Anybody else? I mean, I know what Alfredo thinks. It was his idea.
It's the future. It's a future, Dr. Burke. That's
I think we should have virtual meeting all
Well,
the
hold
way.
on. Wait. Ted, you're out of order. Please, if you're going to do something, raise your hand, please, because I see Ms. Claude had her hand up too. So I'm going to ask that you guys raise your hand in the chat. So Ms. Claude had her hand up. Then I'm going to recognize Ted. Then I'm going to recognize you, Beatrice. So Ms. Claude.
Yes, I agree with what I think John just said. If we could have these meetings virtually, because in having these meetings, we get to attend other meetings, which normally we would not. And we have a chance to learn and to see what the other committees are doing. So virtual, yes, I agree.
Yes, ma'am.
That one, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Ted.
Yeah, I was going to say I also agree to have the meetings virtual. I would even go a step further to say that the general meeting should also have a virtual option. Doesn't have to be all virtual, but definitely there should be that option to attend virtually if you need to.
Well, the general board meeting will have a virtual component. So all that we would be in person, I would have to sit there with a computer. And again, my computer has been, it's a couple of years old now, so I don't know if it's near the end of its life or not. But either way, there would have to be something in front of me as well, because, I mean, we can get on a good day when Senator Schumer was in, we had like 100 people in our meeting. On an average general board meeting, we may average between, 70 to 75, and then again, people like Mr. DeCastro, people like Shirley Fearon or Mrs. Gill or somebody like that, who our elders, God bless them, you know, I don't expect, especially in an age of COVID. I just lost my next door neighbor. She died at 99 of COVID, but yet the woman never went outside. So how can she contract COVID if she never went outside, if someone brought it to her? So for our elders, you know, I say that to say that, you know, we need to protect them as much as possible. So yes, that part of the general board meeting will probably still be virtual because I wouldn't ask them to come out. But for us, you know, I think that when we get the go ahead that, you know, we need to meet the general board meeting, that is in person. Again, I need to make certain if all of this is legal. So as I said before, come next week, Thursday, the borough board meeting is in person. Borough President Gibson said she's summoning us down to Borough Hall. So I will be in person, although the general board meeting will be virtual. So a lot of clarity is going to come out of that. And once I get that, I'll be able to report back to you what we can do legally. But that's just how I interpret it, and isn't just trying to get some ideas. All right, Beatrice, you're next.
I love the virtual option. I'm definitely with it.
Okay. John?
Sorry, Dr. Burke, I spoke already, but
Yeah,
is
you
there
did.
a way that when we have the committee meetings should be virtual, but there should also be, like what Ted said, a virtual option for our meetings, for the full board meeting, and we should find a way to like even have like someone like a correspondent person that could be there on a computer and say, okay, we have a request from this committee member that will relay the message to you as the chairperson. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Well, I mean, we do that in the chat, John, but I think I can tell you right now that's not
in
going to fly.
person is going to be hard as a chairperson to do both at the same time.
Well, I mean, I know that, but I think, you know, again, that's why we have, you know, our corresponding secretary. Technically, that's her job, you know, to monitor that.
That will be
I would
really
say that,
great. That will be really great.
right. I mean, but I will say that, you know, I know that part of the um, discussions have been all board members, all appointed board members must be in person. That's what the discussion has been so far. So, and again, you know, we push back on that, but let's find out what happens at this meeting next week, and then I'll come back and report to you what they said. Okay, Tolene.
I was just going to add my little 2 cents, and just to say that it is not only our elders, which I'm somewhere in there, but the people who are health challenged, like myself. So that's the other issue. Not only the elders, there's a few of us who, you know, because of our health, can't go to any personal meetings yet.
Okay, I mean, and again, that's we understand that. So I think, you know, all of that's going to be discussed, and I think, you know, we were talking about that prior to, and I shared with you and everybody else, you know, what happened back last July, and you know, I'm sure that a lot of clarity, well, some clarity will come next week Thursday, at 10 o'clock at the borough board meeting. So I'll have more of an answer. I'm just trying to get. I like to be forward thinking. You know, I like to, you know, again, I like to be proactive and not reactive. So I just want to get ahead of this, so that when they come down with whatever edict they come down with, I can relay it, and then it's something that, you know, we can think about. Or better yet, I could say, well, here's what we discussed at Community Board 12, you know, and you guys should implement it. That's kind of sort of what happened at the last borough board meeting, when I did just that. And I think I told you guys that I, you know, I said, here's what one of my committee chairs said we should do, and hopefully we'll see what happens to that. Okay. All right. So let's move on, because we're here a little longer than I wanted. I thought we'd be done by now, but I'm glad you guys are asking questions. The next part of the agenda, of course, is the election of a nominating committee. So last year was different than it's normally been, but I'm looking here at the bylaws, and it says that we should have no more than 5 people, or at least 5 people to form a nominating committee. So again, being it is time for elections, you know, we need to start thinking about that. So I just want to put that bug in your ear. You know, so I'm not gonna and can't appoint anybody to serve on that. But and again, right now it's because I'm looking for it. I have all these highlights here, and I'm looking for it, and I can't find it. It's probably in Article 4, no, Article 5, Section 2, on page 6 of the bylaws is where it is. So we need to start thinking about nominating committee members. So not less than 4 weeks prior to the election, which is supposed to take place in June. You know, the board as a whole should have a nominating committee. And as you know, there was a big brouhaha. We're not going to go into all of that, but chairs, just think about that. All right. Let me move on to questions.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, over all the years I've been on the board, which is close to 50, what we did, we chose the nominating committee in April. They came back with their recommendations in May, and then we had to vote in June where people can nominate people from the floor.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that, Mr. Stricker, but what I'm saying is that if you remember, there was a big brouhaha last year about the nominating committee, right? And people attacked Clinton, which was unfair, but, you know, they attacked him nonetheless. So we're going to, you know, it may be a little bit more convoluted, but we're going to do things by the book because we don't, you know, excuses. We're not going to give these people any excuses. So
The thing I was trying to say, Mr. Chairman, is that we need to put the nominating committee on at this month's board meeting. We have to put it together then.
Yes.
So they have a month to work on it. In May, they'll come back with their recommendations. No vote will be taken. Nothing from the floor will be taken until June. So if Joe Schmo is running for chairman and Harry Schmo wants to run for chairman, he could be nominated from the floor. And then he has to be approved by the board.
Okay. Well, as I said, Mr. Stricker, that was going to come on the agenda anyway, because I agree with you. And I'm glad that between you and Clinton, you know, I'm sure that y'all will keep me straight, which I appreciate. And, you know, we can go from there. Yes,
Okay,
Ms. Clyde.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
How often do we have elections? I thought it was every 2 years.
That's
Didn't we
what it
have
should
one
be. I'm
last
looking at the
year?
bylaws. The bylaw says it's every year.
We never changed the bylaw to every 2 years.
I was under the impression it was every 2 years, not every year.
No, so this is Carla. I'm just going to clarify that point. And John, Isaac, you please feel free to help me out here because you were very active in this process. We proposed in 2017 that the elections be every 2 years, but it was voted down. So we're still operating on the bylaws 2000 rule that elections be held every year.
Yes, you're right, Carla.
Yeah. So we floated it. Yeah, it didn't float. So we can float it again if there's enough interest. It only takes one person to propose to the chairman of the committee, of the board, Dr. Burke, that we amend the bylaws, and then we vote on it as a board. But yeah, the last time, 2017, it didn't float. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Clinton?
Okay, so what Carla just said, but that wouldn't really affect this election because it's too late, right? If we did to amend, it wouldn't affect this election.
It would be the next one, Clinton.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are almost done. So I've got 2 more topics and I'm done. So as far as update on our outreach efforts, So I've got a couple of topics here. I'm going to only concentrate on two. The website. Quite frankly, I look at our website as it pertains to what we have versus others, and I'm not happy. So I am going to take responsibility for that along with the first vice chair. So Jerry and I are going to work, and I'm putting the Jerry on the spot here, but she and I are going to work in tandem to get it up to par. I know that a lot of stuff was submitted to um, Do It, which is Department of IIT. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Anyway, but anyway, a lot of that has not been entered as of yet. So, like I said, Jerry and I, you and I will talk probably tomorrow sometime and come up with a game plan because I have some ideas, and as to what we can do, and I want to get your opinion on it. All right?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ajiria. And, so I appreciate that. So as far as that's concerned, so, the first vice chair and myself are going to take personal responsibility for that. The YouTube channel is, without saying, that's actually been very, very good. In my opinion, that's been going very well. I monitor the views to see, who's been looking at. Well, you can't say who's looking at it, but how many views did you get? And again, the nice thing about meeting virtually is that people can always go back if they miss anything and look at the meeting. So that goes without saying. So I think that's an excellent resource. The newsletter, as you guys know, we lost Sydney. So Sydney was working with Mrs. Keisha Lago Martin on the newsletter. And as you guys know, the newsletter was actually an idea of one of our community residents, had came and said, Dr. Burke, you guys need to do X, Y, and Z, all the great work that you're doing. And that gets back to John's point, and which is Carl and Mr. Stricker was talking about earlier, is that we're doing great work. And if you're not tech savvy, which a lot of our elders aren't, then you're not going to know about what we're doing. So, to that end, I know Keisha was working on that. And, right now, of course, she's got her day job too. But, I know Sydney still wants to be involved, although, she can no longer be on the board. That's probably because of the fact that, she put a lot of skin in the game, God bless her. So, we want to, I would talk with Keisha to see where they are with that. I looked at something and got tied up and forgot. So I take partly responsibility for that. But I will call. I know she's been busy with her job, and so I think I haven't had a chance to get back to her on that. But to see where we are with the newsletter, but I do know that they've put together a couple of drafts based on the recommendations that you guys have come up with, and somehow or another, I think one of the things that Keisha, Sydney, and I were talking about was taking the work that Beatrice did, and Ajiria helped her, with that, as well as that entire committee, as well, and somehow or another putting the results or the initial results of our community board survey in the newsletter, which I think is critical to let the residents know, yes, we have been, we didn't just ask for the survey, but here's what we found out. And so those are some things that, we've been working on as well. And that's why, I called Beatrice, and she will tell you that I called her to say, stay encouraged, because your committee is doing, excellent work. And so I also want to thank, my brother Clinton, although he went to Norfolk State, but nonetheless, because, he was the one that got on the board and said, look, y'all need to fill out these doggone, and you see he's wearing Hampton blue today too. And so, he was, one that said, got on the board and said, look, we need to get this done. And I appreciate him for that as well. So thank you as well, Clinton. All right. All right. The next topic is business cards for committee chairperson. So, a number of you asked me, for quite some time about business cards. And I think, Carla, you were one of the most recent one about this. So, I want to make certain that I got clarity as far as the business cards are concerned. So here is what I know to be true. The only person that is, quote unquote, authorized to have the city or the community board pay for the card is the chairman of the community board, right? The chairman of the community board is the only person that can use the seal, all right, of the Bronx and the city of New York on their business card. However, if you are a committee chair and you want to say that you are the chair of a committee, and as long as you have, whether you have a email address, whether it be your email address that you use for the community board or whatever email address you want to use, and if you want to give your phone number of any sort, you can use that. You cannot use the official board address. So in other words, you cannot use 4101 White Plains Road on your community card. I mean, on your business card. The only person that can do that is the chair of the board. But, and again, I wouldn't advocate putting your personal addresses on your card. But if you want to create a card with a logo, for instance, we have a logo, right? But as long as it is not the seal of the Bronx, and as long as it's not the seal of the city, based on the intel that I received, you can get your business card, but you have to cover it yourself. So in other words, a community board will not cover it. Now, is this something that you have to do? No. All right. I know some of you said that some of you said that you wanted to do that. And so I'm laughing at Clinton. Y'all see what he did, right? Some of you said that y'all wanted to do that. And so if you want to do that legally, you can, as long as it is not the seal of the Bronx, as long as it is not the seal of the city, and as long as you do not use your as long as you do not use a board, community board address, you can make a business card. Now, I encourage you personally, I encourage you to do that. And here's the reason why. Because when we go out into the public, a lot of you I see in the same spaces. We're in these spaces and we're meeting people. And so when we meet people, whether they be where they work for the city agency that you are chair of a committee on, or anything else, you want to be able to say, or people that may come up to you and say, hey, I want to work with X. I mean, there's so many people that have come up to me and say, Dr. Burke, I would like to work with the not-for-profit committee. I've had about at least 5 people say, I'd like to work with a not-for-profit committee, or I'm interested in parks, or I'm interested in public safety, or whatever committee they may be. If you have those cards, then it's easy to exchange cards with that individual. Case in point, I was at an affair for the outgoing Bronx Borough Commissioner of Parks. She's now, of course, many of you know, she's the deputy commissioner of all of New York City parks, Iris Rodriguez Rosa. And there are people that were part of civic organizations that were giving me their card. They're not a part of any community board or anything like that, but we were exchanging cards in that conversation. And some of them actually came to Mrs. Bond's meeting last week. And so I say all that to say, whether you get a card is totally up to you. I'm not going to make you. But I just think that for those of you that ask, that is the report I told you I would find out, and that's what I found out. And so I would encourage you, if you want to, and if you feel that would help you do your job as a committee chair, then by all means, I encourage you to do that. Okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
yeah, a heads up. At one time, before they reorganized the community boards, back, I guess, 30 some odd years ago, maybe a little longer, every board member carried a card with the city shield on it saying, member Community Board 13 Bronx.
Mhm.
Once it became Community Board 12, and they took a lot of power away from the community boards, they discontinued the cards.
Right. Well, again, so not only that, Mr. Stricker, I want to say that I also found out that any community board member can actually do the same thing, right? That I'm telling committee chairs to do. They can identify themselves as a community board member. But I think, and again, I don't know, obviously you have a lot more history than I do, but unfortunately there were some committee chairs, I'll just say some committee chairs that abused the authority throughout the years. And so I think that's why, maybe cracking down is just me speculating, but those are just the rules that I was told to relate to you today.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it changed when they redistricted all the community boards, and that was a
Yes,
long
sir.
time ago.
Yes,
I'm not,
sir.
I still have my original card from Community Board 13.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
but you can't use the card to go in and get a free donut at Dunkin' Donuts, But
Right.
and that's what some people were trying to do. Look, I'll help you out if
Yeah.
you give me donuts. So that's why they probably eliminated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who knows? Carla. Carla.
Okay, so sorry, I'm just looking for some clarification. I'm not sure what the difference is between can't use the seal, but can use the logo.
Right.
So
So
what
we
is
have
the
a logo.
logo?
Community Board 12 has a logo. We have a logo that's independent of the seal. So if you go to our Facebook page, you can see where there's a logo.
Is it the carriage house thingy?
No, there's a
Okay.
logo. I
Oh,
don't know who
okay,
designed
okay,
it, but there's a
okay,
logo. So that is fair game.
okay, okay. So I'll take a look at that because I do meet with the public quite a bit. Well, not a lot, but from time to time, and I'd like to look official. So I'll go look at what that logo is. So if that's perfectly legal, then I'm happy to use that. Okay,
Right.
thank you for
Based on what I was
clarifying.
told, that is legal. That is legal.
Okay.
Like I said, and I encourage you, if you want to, again, chairs, because you have to pay for this out of your own pocket. So
Yeah, no, I got that part, but it's to build our credibility with the
yes,
community members.
yes,
That's fine.
yes,
Okay,
yes. And that's
okay,
also
thank you for
because then they
clarifying.
have a contact person as well. Our community constituents would have a contact person. Oh, okay, yes. So I know that for sanitation issues or composting, then boom, I can reach out to Ms. Prasadi. You know what I mean? So
Right, yes, yeah. I think a UPS mailbox might be involved just because, I wouldn't put to your point, wouldn't put my home address on there, but I'm sure I can think of
right,
something.
right. So,
Okay, thanks.
okay. Ted?
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Bug. The question was, is there anything stopping the board from using its funds from printing cards for all the members?
No, that's out of the question. So based on the only person that the board official board funds only can be the chairperson is the only person that can apply to. Any board member that wants a card, general board member that wants a card, you can make one up based on the rules that I just laid out, and you'd have to cover it. But board funds cannot be used.
And how do you determine that?
What do you mean? How do you determine that? I mean,
The
that was,
fund.
that was a directive from the borough president's office.
Oh, it was. Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Because I just see it as a general expense.
Okay. Well, no, that came directly from the borough president's office. What I'm telling you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Yes, sir. John?
Dr. Burke,
Yes, sir.
I just want all the other committee chairs know about the two big projects that will be going on, the Gun Hill project and the Boston Road project in terms of the circulation and not just transportation, but it's going to have a lot of environmental impact, economic impact, and the safety of the community. So I'm gonna need all the chairs to assist in this endeavor of working on with me on getting these projects through. Get it completed and get it to the community the way it should be done.
Well, like I said, John, we're going to be working on some things. You're involved, being that you're the second vice chair. So, actually, you should probably come in on this too. Actually, you will come in on this. So you and Jerry and myself will be dealing with this on the website. So I kind of sort of just made an executive order directive, but so we can talk about that. All right.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. So next thing I want to talk about, because I got directions on this as well, and I had mentioned this a while back, are community board pins. And so what I want to do is, because I asked a question today for clarity, because there are two community boards that have pins, and in fact I kind of sort of got the idea. Alfred, I'm gonna answer your question when I'm done with this, right? So when I got this, so this is community board 9, right? So this is in their office. And so, obviously when the directive came about using the Bronx seal, my first question was actually this. I'm like, well, so I asked the individual, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, what about this? Because that actually has the seal of the Bronx in that. And so I think and again, here's where we're splitting hairs, but the individual told me, well, based on how it was designed, it was legal. How, again, I don't know. So I think what I was told was that, if we wanted to design a pen, something like this right here, then what we would have to do ideally is run it by the BP's office so that we can make sure that we fall within our guidelines or within the guidelines and make sure that it's legal. As you know, that one other thing that I did say that I did find out from my source at the BP's office is that TED can be covered with board funds, because I think what community board, the person mentioned community board 2 does it, community board 9 does it, and I spoke with Laura Spalter at community board 8. I think they're getting ready to do it as well. And actually, Dr. Bowl, I need to give him a call. He's chairperson of Community Board 5. But, we were all just, chit-chatting about doing these things. And so I know that 2 and 9 give it to every person who is a board member, and they also have enough for their incoming new members. So as you know, we're probably going to have we are going to have new members coming in soon. And so, Tolene and I were actually looking at this. And again, I know she got tied up and so did I. I did not like the price of the local vendor. We had a vendor right here in Westchester County that I thought he wanted way too much money. So, I'm looking at other things, but based on that, what I was told today is that once we come up with a design, then let's make sure the design flies. And the source of the BP's office says that can come out, because that can come out of board funds. And so once we do that, so Tolene's been working with me on this. And so, we'll come up with something that we can see if it passes muster and then get back to you on that. But I think that, as I look at somebody like, and I'm afraid I'm picking on you, even though you got your hand up, but somebody like you that goes to the precinct council meetings, like as do I, and otherwise, people not only with your business cards will be able to identify you, and if they have a question, I think that's a good way for outreach as well, because as I said before, not everybody is tech savvy. And so with that, I just want to discuss that. Well, just tell you that and then move to the last part of the meeting, because this is actually taking longer than I thought, and answer your question. So I see Alfredo has his hands up. I think Tolene had her hand up, and then Anthony Reed had his hand up. So Alfredo, you first.
Hold on a second. Can I unmute myself?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, my bad. So I have business cards already printed that I've had for a while now. And I still have a bunch of them. But I do believe they have the Carriage House address, and they have the logos. But those are the ones that we were able to do before when I made them. Because all the chairs before had them like that. So you're saying
I can only tell you what was told to me.
No, I got you. But I'm saying I'm not gonna throw them away and get new ones. I'm gonna wait till those finish, and then I'll get new ones.
Okay, Alfredo, I don't think anybody's going to police you.
Okay.
You're not going to get thrown in jail, or, or anything like that. So, that's fine. Brother Reed.
Hello, family. How you doing? I like to make a motion to the bylaws committee that we have elections every 2 years.
Well, this is not the bylaws committee. This is a executive committee. So
Oh,
you have to. Their meeting is next week.
so what should
So
I do to actually bring that to the floor?
so what happens? So Anthony, I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. So normally, when you want to make a motion, when you want to change to the bylaws, normally what you have to do is you have to write something to the chair of the board, stating, stating the article and the section that you want to change, what it states, and what you want to change it to. Then the chair of the board will read it to the entire board, and then the chair of the board then forwards it to the bylaws committee for their discussion. That's normally how it works. So I can
Okay,
help you with that. So call me tomorrow. Call me. I don't know what time you get off, but call me tomorrow and then I can help you with that. Okay?
okay, no problem. I appreciate that because I
Got it,
think that
brother.
2 years is definitely way better than this 1 year thing because what happens is you start getting something going and then next thing it switch up and everything starts shifting. And I think that 2 years you could put something together, and in the next 2 years, you could do something different. I think 1 year is not fair for the person that actually is in there.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Call me tomorrow, and like I said, I'll help you with that. But that's normally how it's done. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank
You
you.
got it, brother. You got it. Tolene.
Yes. Could you please, if possible, if you can quickly say who has left the community board? Because
I don't have that on me right now. I can get that to you later.
I appreciate it.
Okay, you got it.
I don't want to be
All
calling
right.
people asking for sunshine fund and they not even.
Yeah, yeah. Call me and I can discuss that with you
Thank
a
you.
little later. I don't have it on me. Okay. All right. So, boy, last but not least, I want to get to something that, and this kind of goes in line with what John and Carla and actually Jerry and Mr. Stricker kind of sort of. I'm thinking about all these people because of the work that they've done and conversations that we've had. Look, boy, we've had, unfortunately, we've had a dark year. You know what I mean? A dark year and a half, through no fault of our own. And, like I said, I mean, I know it weighed on me, and I know that it may have weighed on some of you. And quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of it. And I know that, we need to have fun. And, because I'm a pretty, happy person for the most part. And I know that you guys like to have fun too. Obviously, I'm looking at my brother Clinton, who all of a sudden decided to change his shirt. But that, but that's okay. But that's okay. But that's what I'm talking about with fun. So, as we're coming near the end of a board year, I really want to kick around some ideas that we can do during the summer because, as you know, the board doesn't meet during the summer. So I'm thinking about fellowship and bonding ideas. So, committee chairs, I need your ideas on this. I'm thinking about a couple of things I have listed and I don't know if I need to share my screen or not for this, but I will. But I have some ideas. I'll just read it out, and if you want to look at it, you can. But some ideas that I had were, for instance, bowling. There's a bowling alley right up here on Gun Hill and Boston Road. I don't know if y'all want to use that bowling alley or another one, but I think with that one, we'd be keeping money in our district. And I would invite Councilman Riley and some of the other electeds, Councilman Denowitz and some of the others to come with us because they're pretty fun people to be around. My personal favorite, softball. I mean, yeah, I'm maybe reliving dreams of grandeur when I was a pretty good athlete in my teenage years, but we could play a game of softball, and I say softball because, of course, that's something that both the men and the women, could play. And it's a game that, we could, that everybody can play. I mean, obviously I've got my cleats and my gloves still here, but even if you don't have that, we could, get together and do that. Another thing that, again, you could tell I'm a Southerner. I don't know if y'all did this up here in New York, but we used to play horseshoes, growing up. So again, I don't know if you guys did that here, but especially where I grew up, we used to play horseshoes all the time. In fact, we used to play in my backyard. And if need be, being that I'm actually going home, I could actually bring my horseshoes back up the side if you guys are interested in that. One thing that I was thinking about and I got this idea actually from some of the AKAs, but as you could also see what's happening with down there at Rockefeller Center, going roller skating, and talking to Alfredo, you guys used to have a big rink up here. I don't know where, because like I said, I wasn't here. We had our rink.
Skate Key, the world famous Skate Key on Allerton Avenue.
Okay, there it is. Okay, so Clinton is shaking his head, so I don't know where it was, but I'm thinking
Sorry. Where the Harbor Freight is at. Sorry.
What a Harbor Freight. Okay, I would have no idea where it is, so I'm glad you said that. Okay, what a Harbor Freight is. Okay.
White Plains, Allerton Avenue, White Plains Road.
Okay, so and again, I don't know, and again, New York, you guys did some pretty, I remember those roller derby parties, and for us in Georgia, we actually have our parties on the Sunday night, especially when we weren't in school. If you were anybody in Savannah, you were at the skating rink on Sunday night. So that's just something to think about as well. If we want to do roller skating, or do we just want to have an old-fashioned barbecue? Get together and notice the Q, of course, with my fraternity, QUE, Omega Psi Phi. Or if you just want to do a day on the beach, but these are just ideas just for us to bond. I'm just, tired of all the negativity, and we need something positive to do. And this is kind of sort of in line with what Ageria came up with, what the retreat she did a couple of years ago. So I'm interested in your feedback.
What now?
Yes, Beatrice.
You want the feedback now?
I like the barbecue.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
idea.
Yeah, that's why Beatrice got her hand raised. Yes, Beatrice.
I like the idea of a barbecue gathering.
Like a barbecue? Okay.
It's easier. We have a mixed range of ages and interests. I think that a barbecue would be a nice way to socialize and commune with everybody without having to be pressed to skate. For example, if I don't ice skate, et cetera, et cetera.
No, this is not
That's
ice
my
skating.
take.
This is just ideas.
I mean, skating or yeah. I want to chill. I don't want to have to, run around do an activity. I want to just connect with people. That would be my favorite pick.
Okay, so you are on board for just a barbecue. I mean, because there are what 6 ideas. I mean, so that's yours. Okay, Beatrice. All right, Deborah.
I think that we should have a meet and greet because most of us do not know each other face to face. I mean, we've been online. I've been muted most of the time. So it would be nice to have a personal meet and greet so people can know each other on the street and also have maybe a non-formal uh a roundtable discussion for all of us just maybe to talk to see what we see for our community. Uh, What is it
Well, let me
that we
just
all
comment on
want?
that.
What
I
is
think.
it?
No,
Mhm.
I thought you were done. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished.
Go ahead, I'm finished. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, I take responsibility for it because normally we have a new member orientation every year. This year we didn't do it, and that's my fault. I mean, technically we can probably, well, we've got a new group coming in, so I think what we did with Denise Bond's group was that I combined Kevin Eichelberger, who had a year in, with the people that came in with her group, and so we can probably do that with your group. I think part of the reason is, of course, obviously because of the pandemic. We haven't seen each other face to face, and I was hoping that we'd be able to get together soon. But as I was telling one of my fraternity brothers, whose nickname is BA, and he just happened to be a number 2, I was like, bro, your variant is wreaking havoc up here. So I'm hoping that, again, we can get together. I mean, obviously, with you being one of the newer members, you haven't had the opportunity to see everybody in person. But, hopefully at some point, we will, do that new member meet and greet, and that'll take care of some things that you're talking about. Okay. Alfredo?
Thanks, Doc. The barbecue sounds good. Roller skating sounds good, and a day at the beach. But I'm down for whatever you guys want to do. Just tell me when, where, and how much, and I'm there.
Okay, that's what's up, Brother Reed.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the barbecue, the bowling. Now, also the beach, but I just wanted to bring to your attention that they're going to be putting a whole bunch of stores on Orchard Beach. So you need to be ready for that too. I don't know if they're trying to make it look like Coney Island, but they're getting ready. It's in the process. I'm supposed to be on that job too, so I'll definitely keep you posted. There.
Yeah, I think that's Community Board 10. I want to say, yeah, they're doing the Orchard Beach revitalization. I mean, what I read about that is they're trying to bring it back to the way it was back in its heyday, back in the 30s and 40s. I want to say. So yeah. I know that was part of the master plan for that. So although it's not now Community Board, like I said, I was just doing some reading on that, and so we'll see what happens. But I look, me personally, I wasn't thinking about Orchard Beach, but I was thinking about maybe a beach in
nice.
Connecticut.
They got handball there. They got a lot of stuff in Orchard Beach now.
Oh, dude, okay.
They even had the movies there, drive-in movie theaters over there.
Drive-in movie theater.
They had the free movies over there at Orchard Beach. Where
really?
You drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just didn't look appealing to me, but again, like I said, I'm from Savannah, Georgia, and I guess our beaches, I think, are well. Anyway, it's just different. Maybe it's a little bit different.
Chill, man. Chill. Don't get yourself in hot water.
That's why I had to walk in
hot water.
That's what I said. Our beaches are different.
Yeah. Orchard Beach is the beach. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I said. Look, on that note, I'm done. So listen. So am I hearing most of the
That's the Bronx Riviera.
That's the Bronx Riviera. Don't get it messed up. That's the Bronx Riviera. Don't play yourself.
Let me ask y'all this question. So what I'm hearing from, because I haven't heard from Carl, I haven't heard from Ajiri, I haven't heard from John Isaac. So I'm assuming, people are saying, I'm hearing most of the people saying barbecue, some saying bowling, some saying beach. I think it's probably something that we should probably bring to the general board, but I kind of sort of need a recommendation. Well, not now, but we can discuss it at the next EC meeting. But let's start this percolating and let's discuss it amongst ourselves. And let's come up with 2 or 3 ideas that at the next EC meeting we could bring to the general board so we can vote on it before the summer is out. Is that fair enough? Oh, Clinton's got his hand up. Yes, sir.
Now, I'm just going to say that the barbecue and Orchard Beach could be one and the same thing because there's barbecue area at Orchard Beach. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I have to say. Yes.
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 And you can reserve it.
It is barbecue and it is the beach too.
Yep.
Okay, so Attorney Singh says, I like the idea of a barbecue best food bonds. What a food bond? Oh, okay. I know what you're saying. Okay, you said food. The concept of food is bonding. Okay, which is what Deborah Torado was saying. I also like the bowling idea. Okay, so that's from Attorney Singh. All right. So on that note, I'm done because I'm not going to say another word. So is there anything else we need to discuss before I ask for a motion to close? Okay, hearing none.
I think it's the hoodie. The hoodie that's getting them nervous, Clinton. That's the hoodie getting them nervous. The colors.
Nah, look, man. Look,
He's scared. It's all right though.
Look, I got on mine too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was being quiet. You said something, then I had to go check.
Like I said, but I'm representing the real HU. Anyway, let me get out of here.
But anyway, we need a motion to close, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Clinton's making a motion to close the executive committee meeting at this time.
Well, Clinton, I'm trying to think. Are you
32?
Chair?
No, I'm not.
You are chair of the nominations.
I'm a first.
Do it again.
Didn't John check you tonight and tell you I'm the first vice chair of the transportation committee?
Yeah, but he's anyway. Let me get a second.
You got a second.
Let me get a second. All right. So motion's been moving properly seconded. Is there any other thing we need to discuss before we get out of here?
No.
I just wanted to say that the Parks Committee meeting last week was really good. It was really, really, really good.
Yeah. Mrs. Bond was on point. She was. All right. Motion been moving properly seconded. I call this meeting to a close. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And
it's nice to end the meeting with people smiling.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean,
we don't see this very often.
Yes, we don't get to do that.
We're getting back to that, Mrs. Clyde. Yes. We're getting back to that. So listen, thank you, everybody. Thank you for all your suggestions. You're being recorded, and like I said, let me stop recording, and we're done. Take care, everybody. Y'all be.